Good evening and welcome to NewsBREAK Live. I'm Hiba Samad. Thanks for joining us. The American flag remains at half-staff to remember the lives lost in Santa Fe, Texas. President Donald Trump requested flags to be flown at half-staff at the White House and all public grounds to honor the 10 lives lost and also grieve with those affected by the shooting. A project to install 10,000 LED lights across the city is underway. Southern California Edison is installing the new street light fixtures on existing poles on all arterial streets. Lane closures were in effect from 9 a.m. this morning to 3:30 p.m. this afternoon on 190th Street to the South City limits. Tomorrow, curb closures will take place once again at Artesia Boulevard. The switch is expected to save the city $140,000 a year in energy costs. The replacement of old high-pressure sodium vapor streetlights to LED bulbs will give off a warm white light. So far, 1,100 lights have been replaced. Next, crews will install lights in residential areas. Suspected motorcycle thieves were arrested recently. The Torrance Police Department released the names of the 3 suspects who allegedly committed motorcycle thefts. Yesterday morning, officers responded to the 5500 block of Torrance Boulevard after a resident reported suspicious activity involving multiple suspects removing a motorcycle from the location. Eventually, they were arrested and the 2004 Harley-Davidson was returned to its owner. This is another example of community members responding to the See Something, Say Something campaign. A unique piece of art was unveiled today at El Camino College, and it was a sight to see. A 10 by 16-foot mural stands tall at El Camino College, representing a tribute to friendship, diversity, and unity. Haruka Kane Mura, an art major, came up with this creation after a campus-wide call this past fall from the El Camino College Student Development Office to design a mural. Haruka was selected, but since she didn't have any experience in painting, she turned to her classmates and friends who came together since January to design it. Haruka says the goal was to create a piece of art covering diversity.
The focal point of this mural is the centerpiece with the bell, 3 hands making the bell, and that represents diversity, unity within diversity, right? And then the rest of the hands, the pink hands, they represent compassion. The bottom 2 hands, the green hands, they represent support. And the top right hands, which is blue hands, intertwined, rising up, that represents excellence.
Along the way, Haruka received help from her professors who guided her through logistics and purchasing materials. The mural is located at the college's Student Activities Center. A sweet buzz is attracting customers at the Del Amo Fashion Center with their sweet treats. Churro Buzz Coffee Bar by Pier Bakery is now open at the Del Amo Fashion Center. They offer handcrafted ice cream, freshly baked churros, and delicious coffee. Located at the South Mall entrance near Joann's, Churro Buzz also offers customers bread, muffins, and cakes at affordable prices. Travis Matthew is set to open next. The newest place to eat and play is opening soon. The long-awaited Dave & Buster's has announced its grand opening date to be June 11th. It's a destination for food, fun, drinks, and games. Located on the south end of Del Amo Fashion Center next to JCPenney, the space is 41,000 square feet of space. There'll be a state-of-the-art sports bar. This will mark the 115th Dave & Buster's location. And with the opening, brings 200 jobs. Stop by the Courtyard Marriott Torrance from 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. No appointments are needed. Positions are available in both front and back of house capacities, including servers, bartenders, hosts, line cooks, game techs, and more. The company offers benefits and encourages internal promotions. To find more information on the job opportunities, head to daveandbusters.com/careers, and the career fair will go through May 27th. The Torrance Rosefoot Association is looking for one band to woo the crowd on Rose Parade Day. The organization is hosting a battle for the band, and applications are being accepted right now. The 2019 Tournament of Roses parade theme is Melody of Life, celebrating music as the universal language. The Torrance Rose Float will have a live band perform on the float during parade day. If bands want to participate, they have to submit a demo video. One band member must live in Torrance. Bands can't have more than 4 members and must be over the age of 13 years old. Finalists will be invited to perform for the Torrance Rosefoot Association and will be given 20 minutes stage time, including setup. Performances will be held August 6th, and the music will be from the 50s to the 90s. Bands must submit an application by June 29th. And with summer right around the corner, it's the perfect time to honor Healthy and Safe Swimming Week. It's observed every year from May 21st to the 27th, right before Memorial Weekend. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention shared some tips on healthy swimming practices. Drowning is the leading cause of death from unintentional injury among children between the ages of 1 and 14, so it's important to keep an eye on young children. And although most germs are killed within minutes by common pool disinfectants, don't swallow the water. Take kids to the bathroom every hour and check and change diapers in a bathroom and not poolside. The CDC also recommends that you rinse off before and after using the pool to get rid of any germs that may be on your body. And if you need to freshen up on your swimming skills, visit the YMCA. They offer lessons for all ages to help build swimming confidence and ensure water safety. The Torrance South Bay YMCA is located at 2900 Sepulveda Boulevard, and they will host LA's largest swim lesson event on June 10th at 11 a.m., which is free to families. And the first week of June honors Hands-Only CPR Week. There are many reasons to learn CPR according to the American Heart Association. About 70% of out-of-hospital cardiac arrests happen in homes. In 2007, the AHA, the American Red Cross, and the National Safety Council worked together to set June 1st through the 7th National CPR Week, and the fire department is supporting the AHA's mission to increase survival from cardiac arrests. And during the observed week, Torrance fire crews will be at various locations throughout the city to teach community members the life-saving skills of hands-only CPR. And be sure to watch City Council tonight, as council members will proclaim next week as Citizen CPR and AED Awareness Week. And speaking of next week, the Torrance Farmers Market will be accommodating a program that will make it easier for low-income customers to buy fresh food. The City of Torrance marked this month as CalFresh Awareness Month, as the Torrance Certified Farmers Market will start accepting CalFresh customers on June 1st. Already, farmers and vendors have started training to accept this type of payment. The CalFresh program, also known as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, issues monthly electronic benefits that can be used to buy most foods at many markets and food stores. The program helps to improve the health and well-being of qualified people by providing them a means to meet their nutritional needs. Customers using this program will select their food items, take it to the cashier, who will calculate the items and hand a receipt for the total amount of food. Then all the receipts from various booths will be taken by customers to the farmers market staff and will swipe their EBT card for the total amount. Then stamped receipts will be taken back to the farmers so customers can get their purchases. One of the highest priorities of Los Angeles County is to reduce food insecurity and improve health in the nation's largest populated county by increasing access and participation in the CalFresh program. Food vendors cooking on site will not accept EBT. Now let's get to the weather. Today there was a high of 65 degrees with an expected low of 57 tonight. Then tomorrow there will be a high of 65 degrees and a low of 57. And on Thursday you can expect it to stay steady at 64 degrees. Runners throughout the community came out and raced to not only win a trophy, but to support local military veterans. Reporter Louis Tran was there and tells us more.
Rock Hollis is the head football coach for Torrance High School and has been coaching for the past 28 years. But today, Hollis and his wife are competing in this year's Armed Forces Day 5K for Freedom.
Just so much energy. I love it.
Runners across the South Bay gathered at the start and finish line located on Madrona and Honrado Street. While some were competing for first place, many came out to celebrate the members of the armed forces.
They were amazing. It was so much fun to run with them.
We appreciate the city in 2018 coming out and welcoming us home.
Commanding General.
For the past 3 years, the Torrance Chamber of Commerce hosted the race as part of the annual Armed Forces Day celebration. The celebration began in 1960 in order to increase public respect and understanding for military service.
For our residents to come out and support the military like we do, it's just incredible.
Unlike many races, Hollis enjoys the opportunity to run with local military members and first responders. Hollis believes it's a chance for him to personally thank them for their service.
You talk about energy. Yikes. I'm a snail compared to those people.
It really just points out that we are so patriotic that we will do anything to support our military.
From the Torrance Fire Department to the Police Department, members throughout the community came out for this morning's event. All registered members will receive a bib, and when they finish, they'll also receive a certificate.
You just see how close people are, and it's all because of our military and the respect that we all have for them.
Since last year, the race has grown to over 900 runners, including 95 members from the armed forces. Hollis hopes the race will continue to grow and support his hometown community that he loves.
It's all about community. It's all about family. It's all about, your city. It's a sweet, sweet event.
For Torrance City Cable, I'm Louis Tran.
Thanks, Louis. The first place winners for both men and women were awarded the opportunity to participate in the Armed Forces Day Parade. And we'll have all of this coverage on This Week in Torrance starting this Thursday. The next time you pick up your mail, it may smell like summer. The United States Postal Service plans to issue its first ever scratch and sniff stamps that will smell like sweet summer. There are 10 different stamp designs that will feature watercolor illustrations of 2 different ice pops on a stick. There'll be 1 cent for all of the stamps, which are set to be released on June 20th. And don't forget to tune into the City Council meeting tonight. Council will look to award funds for the 4th of July fireworks show, and the final public hearing will be held to take public input and discuss potential transition from at-large to district elections, including draft voting district maps. And before the next half of NewsBREAK Live, here are some upcoming events you won't want to miss. Torrance Rosefoot Association is having its dinner fundraiser at Luna Grill at the Dalmo Fashion Center tomorrow. Bring a flyer from torrancerosefoot.org and present it at the restaurant. 20% of all sales from the order will be donated to the association. Then the Torrance Historical Society and Museum will host their first walking tour across the city. The tour leaves this Sunday at 1:30 p.m. from the museum. You'll be able to visit historic sites and landmarks in Old Torrance. No reservations are needed. It'll take place every month on the 4th Sunday. In just 2 minutes, Gerald Ronan from the Torrance Historical Society and Museum will join me live to talk about the city's annual Memorial Day ceremony and how it all started. We'll be back in just a few.
Palm trees, coastline, craft brews. Yep, this is Southern California. But this is Torrance. Have you ever driven to a whole other city just for a bowl of ramen? Because if you haven't, that's about to change. Have you ever been to a beach that feels so much like your own private beach that you're like, where has this been all my life? Welcome, my friends, to Torrance Beach. So private, you hadn't even heard of it. Have you ever been to a mall that had literally 2.7 million square feet of shopping? Run, don't walk to Del Amo Fashion Center. And get this, Torrance is the actual epicenter of the South Bay's craft brew industry. I guess you could say the brews are just craftier here. We also have a farmer's market that's just as much about the people as it is about the food. And even our museum scene is the best of the South Bay. All this just 15 minutes from LAX. You'll come for the city, stay for the experience, and leave as a friend. So, are you in?
Listen. All it took was someone who would insist that I just try.
Suddenly, everything was turned around because they judge you.
You tell them, I don't need this.
No one is going to understand.
Unless they've been through it, how can they?
Then one day you realize
You feel so hopeless.
I need help. I need help.
You feel so hopeless.
Then one day you realize,
Unless they've been through it, how can they understand?
I don't need this.
No one's going to judge you.
suddenly everything was turned around because they insist that I just try.
All it took was someone who would just
Listen.
Welcome back to the second half of NewsBREAK Live, and joining me is Gerald Ronan from the Torrance Historical Society and Museum. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Good, good.
Thank
Good
you
to
for
be here.
being here, and thank you for your service. Of course, we'll be talking about Memorial Day celebration and the memorial that the city has next Monday. And you're a World War II veteran, right?
Yes. Navy.
So talk to me about the city of Torrance's highlight, the Veterans Memorial Wall, and how it all started.
The memorial wall, as I understand it, was the result of a committee that was appointed by the council in 2001, and they selected the black marble wall that's 5 by 12 feet in size, and have that little plaza on the corner there by Civic Center. They started out with 142 names for the first dedication, which was on March 19th. That happens to be St. Joseph's Day, which is important to Italians, in 2005. And 4 names have been added since then. The names were added by Mayor Walker during his time.
So talk to me about how the idea came about, because it was a project that not only the community but city officials backed up to make it come alive.
Yes, it's an attractive spot and hard to miss when you're traveling down Torrance Boulevard.
So tell me about the event that's hosted next Monday, May 28th, and it's been a tradition every year. You play a huge role in it. We'll get to that in a second. But tell me what's done, who comes out, and about those 146 names.
There have been, forever, I guess, Memorial Day services in various parts of the world. Nothing was happening in Torrance. We had 146 people who had died in service, and it seemed like people were traveling to other events which were star-studded and filled with speeches, flyovers, music, the whole thing, but our little plaza was vacant except maybe for a bouquet of flowers. And it seemed to me that we ought to do something. So we came up with the idea of doing the reading of the names, read those 146 names, and that's it. We have a flag salute, a moment of silence, and read the names. We have no reserved seats for anybody. We don't introduce anybody. Mm-hmm. It's all about the names. It's all about those people. We have 7 readers, and these readers are, for the most part, well, completely prior service men who have served, and or people who have been very touched by the various military engagements that we've been involved in. It's about a 30-minute program, but it's all about those 146 people.
And the names on the wall is also part of a larger project hosted by the Torrance Historical Society and Museum, which you're in charge of, and it's to document the lives of the people commemorated on the wall. So tell me the purpose of that.
Again, these people gave everything for their country. And we pass by and there are names on there, but names that don't have any faces. And we decided some years ago that it would be a good idea to get a biography or some information on these individuals. So we went into a project of putting faces on the names and enlisting people to take a name, research it, do what they can to make that person live. Every one of those 146 people has a story, as does everybody, and but their stories were cut short, and they weren't written down, as it were. So we engaged community people to get with us and do this, and people have had marvelous experiences doing this. So many interesting things have happened. We've collected photos, bits of information, recollections of people who knew these individuals. Ken Miller, former mayor, for example, grew up in Torrance, knew a lot of those service people, and he wrote little notes about service people that he had known as a boy and a young man, and they're part of the collection. We have a letter in there that Bill Stewart was a high jumper, a real note, record setter, and we have a letter, a V-mail, not an email, a V-mail letter that he wrote to Louis Zamperini. He had finished his 37th flight in Europe. In the letter, he jokes about having a lighter that Louis had given him that was his good luck talisman. He had, in turn, given Louis a clock. So he hoped to be home soon. On his 37th mission, 4 days after he wrote the letter, he was shot down.
So there's a lot of memories, a lot of history, and this is all done by volunteers. And before we get into how people can help out with this project and maybe find more veterans to go on the wall, tell me about what year do the names date back to, and what wars some of these veterans have participated in?
Well, everything from World War I. We have only one World War I casualty, and that's Bert Crossland, who is the name worn by the American Legion chapter here in Torrance. And from there we go on to all the military engagements up to including casualties in Iraq. And we have a lot of Vietnam veterans, of course, many from World War II.
And Mr. Ronan, tell me about your experience as a World War II veteran and being part of such a project. And it's been kind of a mission of yours to work on this project and get people on board. So tell me about your experience and what it means to you.
Well, the people who have engaged in this project have had wonderful experiences. One of our researchers ended up making contact with the family of the deceased veteran, and in doing that, she was in contact with the family of a soldier who was killed in the same incident. And those two families across the country have made contact and have had a nice relationship. We discovered that one of the names on there was actually a lady, a girl, a whack, and the name she went by the name of Tony, and we just assumed that was a man, but there's a whole story for Tony, and Tom Carter, who graduated from Torrance High School, was 5th in his class at Annapolis, and was killed in Vietnam. He was valedictorian of his class at Torrance High School.
So how can people become part of this project and volunteer? How can they help out? Just contact that Torrance Historical Society Museum?
It's easy.
And how much dedication?
Just stop at the Torrance Historical Society, and they'll give you a name, and anything that we have on a veteran, we usually have the date of death, and we may have a relative's name, or we may have the school that he went to. You can then go to yearbooks and start there. You can go to the digital records of Torrance newspapers that have been digitized through the Katie Geiser Library. And
so if they want to get in touch, it's pretty easy, and I'm sure it's a great experience.
Yes. The museum serves its citizens very, very well. The Torrance Historical Society operates the museum. It's totally volunteer. There's no one on the payroll at the Torrance Historical Society. The city provides the building and the utilities, but the funds that are used to operate the museum are raised by the volunteers in their home tour and their rock around the block. There's very little money made there, but very modest dues and
the Torrance
some
Historical
donations.
And they host a lot of other great events. And I want to say, just for people that are tuning in now, Gerald Ronan is a World War II veteran, and he's been talking to us about Torrance's Veterans Wall. And there's a tradition of the names of the wall, on the wall to be read on May 28th, this coming Monday at 2 p.m. And it's open to the public, correct?
I'm sorry?
The event's open to the public this Monday?
Yes, the museum is open Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, 1 to 4.
Okay. Well, Gerald, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your service.
Nice being here.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Well, that does it for NewsBreak Live. And if you ever have news or video that you'd like to share, please email us at newsbreak@torranceca.gov. Also, if you missed any portion of the show, you can catch it on Torrance City Cable's YouTube page, NewsBreak Live. Have a great night.